So I don't usually comment on current events, particularly specific current events, unless I feel like they're relevant to sort of the end times and how I'm seeing end time things play out. The assassination attempt on former President Trump is a big deal, and I think it's going to play into the things that we see happening this fall. I'm just going to give you sort of the punchline right now, and then I'm going to explain to you how this can be. Okay, so what I see is this, is that our former president, number 45, was shot at, and it was an assassination attempt. And a lot of people out there are saying, well, this is the Lord. This is God. God saved him. God spared him. And I don't doubt that. I think that's probably really true. And I think that as a result of that, just days prior to the Republican convention in Milwaukee, Donald J. is going to have opportunity to think about things from a more serious vantage point, and he may reflect on his life and the brevity of it and the need to have a solid relationship with the Lord. All of that's good, and if that happens, that would be great as far as it goes for him personally. However, if Trump comes across as being a Christian, like very Christian, and he gets Christian people to rally behind him, and it looks like there's going to be a red landslide during our elections this fall, what that will do is polarize even further an already polarized nation. If that comes out, and especially if he has a really strong Christian kind of vice president, that is going to be seen as a huge threat. And what's going to happen is the equivalent of a religious war. Okay, this will be a religious war with the agnostic, atheist, liberal, left, whatever, against what they see as right-wing conservative Christians. Okay, and it'll all be lumped together, even if you're not political. Like, I'm not political. The fact that I'm a Christian is going to be all lumped together. Okay, anything that's conservative or Christian is all going to be in one basket. And as this polarization gets worse and worse, what we're going to see is that Christians are going to be vilified. And this is going to actually set things up, I believe, for an incredible persecution of believers, a really big persecution of believers that will culminate with 10 days of tribulation that we read about in Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. This is speaking about a martyrdom, the fifth seal martyrs. These are the martyrs of the harlot and the martyrs of the earth dwellers. It's not the martyrs of the beast, because according to Revelation 12, these martyrs are actually in heaven before the beast begins to reign. Before Satan is cast out, these martyrs are already present, and they're not martyrs from all time. They're these specific martyrs of the harlot. The harlot will be drunk with the blood of the saints, and the earth dwellers are going to kill Christians. And lumped in with that will be a hatred of Israel and Jewish people. So Christians and Jews are going to be lumped together. It's going to lead up to, I believe, the destruction of the United States, that is, the collapse of the United States. And whether or not we even have elections on November 5th this year, it's not certain that will happen. It is not certain at all. So here's how I see things having played out since the great sign that was in 2017. That actually placed us in the end times. We're actually in the book of Revelation with that great sign. The great sign is Revelation 12 sign. It's an astronomical sign that took place in the starry heavens. It was a perfect one-for-one alignment of this constellation along with 3 planets and the moon at her feet and so on and so forth. I've done numerous videos. I'll leave a link to one below so you can see what the great sign was, because a lot of people aren't familiar with it. God uses the sun, moon, and stars to tell time. And all that great sign did was it helped us be able to pinpoint a time, a moment in time when we could know and realize. And it's taken people a long time, and some people still poo-poo that Revelation 12 sign. They say it wasn't a thing. It happens every year and not to worry about it. It didn't really mean anything. Well, this is what it meant. It meant we're in the end times. And the next sign that we're looking for, according to Revelation chapter 12, is the sign of the dragon. And you can read that, Revelation 12, verses 3 through 6. That's the sign of the dragon. Our rapture is in the context of the sign of the dragon. All right, so if we're not out of here in 2024, then this is just a template. It's an order of events, and you just change the dates. All right, so here's the thing. We're into 2024. We're in July right now. Okay, we're in July. The Republican convention is about to start. The Democratic convention will start next month. Lots of, turmoil about the election this year, this presidential election in the United States. And here's the thing. The United States is very fragile right now. We're actually very fragile. Everyone is that's in positions of power is trying to put forward, a front that we're a strong nation, but we're actually all rotted out on the inside, and our economy is fragile. Our society is fragmented. We've lost our way, and whoever we were 50 years ago as a strong nation, that has just been eaten away from the inside. And so really what we have is just a shell that we're projecting out there, but all it takes is one hammer stroke, one event. And it could have been a few days ago with President Trump. That could have been the event. But I think God is allowing all of this to build up to a crescendo. And so when we finally get to November of this year, this is when the United States will collapse. We're going to see signs of it all the way. Okay, and again, this is only if our rapture is this year. But once things start to happen, they're going to happen very quickly, and they're going to be catastrophic, sort of one catastrophe after another. These things are going to do is they're going to show the world that the emperor doesn't have any clothes on. Okay, that the United States, though we've been projecting this front of being very strong, we actually are all hollowed out on the inside, and there really isn't anything here except fragmentation. There's nothing holding us together. There's no common faith, common patriotism, common, anything. We've lost our way. So Israel and the United States, Jews and Christians, are going to be bearing the brunt of this. If Trump comes out like a new person, like really wanting to, obey God and do the Christian thing and have Christian morals, if he comes across as someone who is now taking God seriously, it's going to go all the worse for us. Okay, it's going to go bad anyway, but if he does that, it's going to be very dangerous to be a Christian, especially the closer we get to the election. And then if we have an election, and let's say Trump wins, okay, let's just say, and there's a strong possibility that he might. If he wins, it's all over but the shouting. The dates that I'm looking for to be where things really start falling apart, where the wheels start totally coming off, will be sometime between the beginning of October and the beginning of November, between the Feast of Trumpets for Israel and the election in November. This is where I think we're going to see Israel try to invade Lebanon. And notice, Israel is not really doing anything. They say they're going to invade Lebanon. They say they're going to take out Hezbollah. But I think they're waiting to see what happens here with the election. And if Trump comes in, then Netanyahu's going to feel comfortable going ahead with that invasion. If Trump doesn't go in, then, I think he's just going to be doing a lot of praying. Hopefully he does. The Israelis will go into Lebanon, and then I think the response to that will be the Gog-Magog invasion. Iran, Russia, Turkey, Libya, Sudan, Ethiopia, and other nations. I think that is when this will happen, sort of around the fall. In addition, this is when China will invade Taiwan. And I think what's going to happen is once the United States is down, which that's going to happen, okay? The collapse of the United States is going to happen. And it will happen like all at once. If our political situation is untenable, if our facade is collapsing, the dollar isn't going to be worth anything. People are going to be pulling their money out. The economy will collapse. And if you've got something going on over here in the Middle East, the price of oil will skyrocket. China, I believe, has some kind of a deal with Russia where when Gog-Magog happens, China will also invade Taiwan. And I think that is probably what's going to happen this fall. Now, the sign of the dragon is something I've talked about in a lot of videos. The sign of the dragon, you can read about it in Revelation chapter 12. It involves Satan, the dragon, casting a third of the angels to the earth. These, I believe, are a third of his angels. This isn't a story about how Satan was cast out of heaven and he took a third of the angels with him. That is not this story. Satan is going to divide his forces up into thirds. One third is going to come to the earth as part of the sign of the dragon. It's the first wave of 4 separate incursions of fallen angels, whereby the fourth one, every fallen angel is on the face of the earth, including all the ones that are in the pit. They will have been brought to the earth, every demon, every fallen angel, every hybrid, everything. This is the days of Noah, okay, when all of these entities are on the earth. Okay, they're on the earth, okay? And think about living on an earth where every single fallen angel is now wandering around the face of the earth. It's very dangerous, very bad time. And that will happen, over the course of these few months here, that these angels are going to be released. And I've done videos on that too. I'll leave a link for those. But he'll cast a third of his angels to the earth. We're going to see that. Okay, and I think this is part of the reason we've been given the book of Revelation, is so we can know what we're looking at when these things start to happen. We're going to see this. There isn't going to be a rapture before Satan casts his angels to the earth, the third of his angels. We're going to be here to see that. And then there's this war in Israel. There's the travail of the woman. The travail of the woman is a symbol. It's an illusion. It goes back to the Old Testament. We're talking about men who have their hands on their bellies because of the invasion that they see, because they realize that they're overwhelmed. Their forces are overwhelmed by an overpowering enemy. Israel will be in travail. We've seen the travail. It started last year in 2023. That's the beginning, and the labor pains are going to keep getting bigger and bigger, and until we get to this fall. And then there's going to be a time when she's all alone. Okay, she'll be all alone. The United States will be on the verge of collapse. We're not able to help. And everybody hates Christians and everybody hates Israel. And everybody hates the United States. Because we are a shell, we have no substance anymore. We're a shell. Because we're a shell, we're going to be easily shattered. And this is when the U.S. goes down. Okay, this is when the United States is going to go down. Okay, this is not the judgment of Mystery Babylon. Okay, this is the beginning of the end. Okay, this is the beginning of the end, though, as far as nations being brought low. If we're looking at the Gog-Magog invasion of Israel, God is going to step in at the last minute and rescue Israel. This is a temporary rescue. It'll only last for a little while. It's a temporary rescue. And God is going to send fire down on Magog. So actually, Magog will be probably taken out right about the time just prior to when the United States' full collapses, or just after it. It's all going to happen all at once. That's the hard part about this. It's the hard part to comprehend, is that everything is piling up all at once. Everything is happening all at once. That it's in this confusion, it's in this fog of confusion that everybody is going to move. And everything is being set up right now. All of these players are moving their pieces on the big chessboard of the earth so that these things can happen. And we don't, as the United States, we don't have friends anymore in the world. We don't really, because we've done bad things, and we've not been the kind of people that we've projected ourselves to be out in the world. So after Satan casts a third of the stars to the earth, and the woman is in travail, okay, Israel is in travail, then the child is born. It says she gives birth to a male child. Okay, so once travail is over, right about the time the travail is over, there's a child being born. And the birth of the male child is actually not the rapture. Okay, that's not the rapture. The birth of the male child is when believers who are sons of God are transformed from mortal to immortal. That's that first group who's going to show up in heaven as the 24 elders. That first group of people who become mortal. And we're going to be made immortal on the earth. We're made immortal on the earth. There has to be 8 days before we can be presented to God. Okay, and the final time for this year, the final date for rapture of the male child is November 20th. That's the final date. Now here's the thing. On the day that the child is caught up, the child shows up in heaven as priests and kings. And on the 8th day, Aaron went into the tabernacle. He had to wait 7 days in the doorway of the tabernacle before he could go in and serve on the 8th day. So that's a type. That's a shadow of what's going to happen for us as priests. And on the 8th day, that's when we will go into the temple in heaven, and that's when we'll begin to do priestly duties of intercession. That's when Jesus gets the scroll, okay? And seals 1 through 4 are a group. They all happen at the same time. Those 4 horsemen ride at the same time. And I've talked about why there's numerous Old Testament allusions to sword, famine, wild beasts, and pestilence, which is what those riders represent, except for the first one. Sword, famine, wild beast, and pestilence. Ezekiel 14:21, Ezekiel 12:16, Ezekiel 5:15 through 17. I'll send you famine. I'll intensify the famine. Plague and bloodshed will sweep through you. Wild beasts. I'll bring a sword against you. Ezekiel 14:21. And then also Jeremiah 21:9, Jeremiah 24:10, Jeremiah 29:18. I'll talk about sword, famine, and plague. They all go together. They don't evolve over a period of years. These Old Testament allusions reinforce the idea that they're all at once. They take place all at once. So Jesus just rips off seals 1 through 4, and those horses go riding, and they'll start on the 8th day, the day we are raptured into heaven, the day we begin our priestly duties. Revelation chapter 5, where it talks about us interceding for people and entering into our priestly vocation, that chapter is actually continued in Revelation chapter 8. And in between 5 and 8, you have chapters 6 and 7. Chapter 6 basically is just a list of the seals. It tells you what they are, and You have to use other clues to figure out where they go on a timeline, but it's actually not that hard to do, and I've done videos on that. And chapter 8, ignore the first verse there where it talks about the seventh seal, because that should actually be part of the list of the 7 seals of Revelation. It's at the end. Okay, so when we get from Revelation 5, where it talks about us being priests and interceding, you go to Revelation 8, and the angel at the altar takes those prayers, offers them on the altar, and then takes incense, fire, throws it to the earth. There's an earthquake, which is something that'll happen. Okay, an earthquake. Then trumpets begin to sound, and this is when stuff comes from the sky and poisons the water and fresh water and the salt water and takes out the vegetation. And I believe that the 5th trumpet will happen on the same day, and that's this day right here, November 20th. That's when the pit is opened. That's the first woe. That's when Apollyon is released. That's when the second incursion of fallen angels happens. The first one is up here with the sign of the dragon, and the second one will take place on the day we're raptured. All right, the second one, second incursion, fallen angels from the pit, where the sky gets dark because they're there. They're told they can't harm the earth or the sea or the trees. The other 4 angels can. Those entities cannot harm the earth or the sea or trees, but they can torment people who do not have the seal of God. Okay? So sometime before the rapture here, the 144,000 are sealed, and also a great multitude of people who come to Christ who are Gentiles. They will be sealed in the Holy Spirit as well. Okay, so what we have here is the day that we leave, which is after the 8th day that we're born. We'll be caught up to God and to his throne. Seals 1 through 4, and then an earthquake, and then trumpets 1 through 5. And this is in Revelation 8. Revelation 5 and Revelation 8 are continued. Revelation 8 is a continuation of the scene at the golden altar. That's how we know that the trumpets are going to blow on the same day that we get to heaven, and the seals are going to be opened on the same day we get to heaven. Right. Now you have to understand the level of chaos that's happening right now all over the world. There's wars, there's pieces taken from the earth. 1/3 of the earth has just been destroyed. Wormwood coming down, and hail and fire and blood, and the earth being poisoned, and trees dying, and the waters being poisoned, and everything being darkened. All that's going to happen right here, right here on this day. And if it's over the United States, if that's part of what's going on here, or over basically the North Pole area of the earth, which would also include Russia, if that's where this is coming from, this spells doom and destruction for the earth. And now it's just who's going to win, who's going to take over here. And so the white horse rider is given a crown, and he goes out conquering and to conquer, because there's a power vacuum happening here. This is how I see it, okay? And I could be off, I could be wrong on this, and I don't have it exactly right. As time goes on, we're going to see whether or not my musings on this are accurate at all. But I think we can expect that by the fall, everything about the United States, the wheels are going to start coming off in ways we could have never imagined. Until, to use a different metaphor, the whole world is going to see that the emperor doesn't have any clothes, that we don't have, that we're a shell. There's no substance here, and that it wouldn't take much to collapse us. If those first 4 trumpets sound and it destroys the United States, which, these things are going to affect 1/3 of the earth. And we already know that Magog is going to have fire raining down on them. that the whole upper part of the earth here, the whole area around the northern hemisphere is going to be destroyed. And then the kings of the east and Muslim nations and so on, they will rise to power, which is what this is going to look like. And Israel will still be in the balance. They'll still exist because God is going to fight for them. But at the time of the sixth trumpet, abomination of desolation, this is when Jerusalem will be destroyed. And this is the hour, day, month, and year that the sixth trumpet talks about. April 19th, 2025, when nuclear war bursts out, and it's basically east versus west, and Western nations are going to be annihilated. Okay, the Western nations primarily make up Mystery Babylon, the harlot. That'll happen right here, because the beast and the 10 kings hate the harlot, and they're going to destroy her. And they will get help from 4 angels released from the river Euphrates, and a 200 million, we don't know, entity, we don't know who they are, army, that is going to destroy 1/3 of the earth's population. And this is the day that the beast will begin to reign. Going to reign for 42 months. So we're heading into a storm of epic proportions, something that has never really been seen on the face of the earth, at least not during the last few millennia. This is something totally beyond comprehension. And I think the reason God gave us the book of Revelation, he said, is to show his servants the things that are going to happen. And he says he doesn't do anything without telling his servants ahead of time what he's going to do, because we're his friends. He wants us to know these things. We're his friends. So if these things start to happen this fall, and we see like we're headed off of a cliff, we can lift up our heads. Our redemption draws nigh. We can know that Jesus is coming back, and we're going to be changed, and we're going to be given immortal bodies, and we're going to be taken into heaven. We can know that. I know a lot of people out there think there's a 7-year tribulation, and that does not exist in the book of Revelation at all. There is no 7-year tribulation. There'll be 10 days of tribulation for believers. Okay, as the persecution of Christians and Israel ramps up, toward the end of this 5 months between the first woe and the second woe here, which is the 5th trumpet and the 6th trumpet, there's 5 months. The first woe is over, and then the second woe begins. Okay, they don't overlap. This 5 months is over, and then the 6th trumpet can blow. During this time, toward the end of it, these 10 days of persecution, this will be an absolute bloodbath. This is when the harlot and Mystery Babylon, who's drunk with the blood of the saints, and the earth dwellers are going to persecute Christians. They're going to persecute Christians. Israel is going to make a deal to not be persecuted. Israel is going to make a covenant with death, make some kind of agreement with the powers that be to not be destroyed, and they won't be until right here, the time of the abomination of desolation, when the harlot's destroyed. They'll realize that they've been tricked, and their covenant with death will be annulled, and now the persecution will begin. And this is when the remnant will flee into the wilderness. This is the departure that Paul talks about in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. That the coming of the Lord won't be, or the day of the Lord won't be, until the departure comes first and the man of sin takes his seat in the temple of God. Those are two things that happen at the same time. The departure, which is when the remnant flees into the wilderness, okay, and the man of sin going into the temple of God at the abomination of desolation. So when will the temple be set up? Well, probably sometime over here, probably before the election. And this war may be taking place. It may just be total chaos. This is when the power may go down. This is when the grids might be shut down and the internet is shut down and no communications. This is the time when the powers that be, or the powers that shouldn't be, do not want people to know what's happening. So this is crucial right here. And when we see a third of the stars falling to the earth, we can know where we're at. And then, of course, once believers are changed from mortal to immortal, we'll know the war in Israel is over, whether we have news about it or not. And then we'll have these this week or so on the earth showing ourselves as immortal people, praying for the 144,000, witnessing to people. And it's because people see other people in immortal bodies, just like people saw Jesus after he rose from the dead, that people are going to believe the testimony. They're going to believe. And that's why so many millions and millions and millions of Christians are going to be willing to die at the fifth seal. So many you can't count them. You can see how everything is super compressed. There's going to be a lot of events happening all at once. If our rapture is this year, it'll be all at once over a period of just a few days and weeks, that everything gets smushed into this period of time. And it's going to continue on through the next 5 months up until the day of the sixth trumpet, abomination of desolation. And once the beast begins to reign, then he's going to, of course, behead Christians and do whatever, but most Christians will already be dead by then. So if things don't get better over this summer, you'll know why. And because we've been told ahead of time the things that are going to happen, we're going to lift up our heads because our redemption draws nigh. We're going to be rejoicing because we know what's happening. God wants us to be happy. He wants us to know the things that he's planning so that when they do take place, we're not going to be discouraged. We'll be encouraged. That's the plan. Satan is going to be cast out right here at the end of the 10 days. Okay, this is when Satan will be cast out, right here. And we actually know that that's on first fruits. Okay, and it's on that same day that the 144,000 are going to be raptured. They're going to be kept from the hour of trial, which is this right here. That hour, day, month, and year that has been reserved for the destruction of the harlot, the hour of trial that comes on the whole earth. Okay, they're going to be spared from that. Okay, Satan will come down, and the 144,000 who are first fruits to God are going to be raptured. And the temple will be erected sometime over here. Okay, that's when the tabernacle is going to be set up. The tabernacle, that's the reflection of the Revelation tabernacle. Okay, the heavenly tabernacle is in heaven, and there is an earthly reflection patterned after the temple we see in heaven, which is a tabernacle. It's a tent. So you can see how everything is all compressed over here, and most of it's compressed over on, to this side, to the left of the abomination of desolation. This is all the stuff that's going to precede or lead up to the time when the beast begins to reign. Okay, and the day the beast begins to reign is the day the harlot's destroyed by the beast and the 10 kings. Okay, because she is not going to co-reign with the beast. And I believe the beast and the 10 kings are made up of Eastern nations and Islamic nations. They hate the Western world. They hate Christianity. They hate the West. They hate Israel. And they'll destroy the harlot. All of this is on a timeline, huge timeline. All the layers of Revelation are there, along with dates. Okay. And I also have a PDF that just has significant dates on it. I have a one-page timeline, and we have numerous videos, and timelines that are put on a thumb drive. And if you want to order a thumb drive, you have to email Ken. Use the address there. You have to email him. So one of the things we've been running into is that people are sending him money to buy a thumb drive that has my videos and timelines, and then they never send him an address. So he has no idea who to mail those things to. So be sure you email Ken and leave him your address, and then make arrangements for how you're going to pay for the thumb drive. All right. And we do have a little Outpost of Heaven Discord channel, and I'll leave a link for that. It's only good for 3 days. And we have such great fellowship over there. Some of the best breaking news from Israel and around the world. And my husband and I do the Shepherd's Heart. It's a live stream on Tuesday nights where we talk about simple church, how to gather as Christians just in people's homes. Those videos are available on MediaFire. You can download those yourself, and those videos are also uploaded over on the channel on Rumble, and the links for that is in the description below. So let me know what you think about all this, and we're just going to keep an eye on what's going on, and we'll see you on another video. Till then, have a blessed day.